These are real biological mechanisms happening in the brain. And that's one of the reasons why I created Revocycle, as a way to help spread that message to people, that you can use exercise to reduce your stress or your anxiety levels and also reduce or prevent depression. These bodies are built to move, and they have built-in feedback mechanisms that make you enjoy the movement if you can only tune into it. And once you do, you can build a lifetime of movement from that.
Welcome to yourbrilliance.com. I'm your host, Amy Waterman. Does exercise make you stressed? Like you go to the gym and you see all those super fit people. Or you take a class and you're the most awkward person there. And even worse, no matter what you do, your body looks the same. So why bother? Exercise comes with this great big bucket full of guilt, shame, pressure, and stress. But what if it didn't have to? What if exercise could feel like a mini vacation? Time to relax, time to sit with yourself, and time to enjoy sheer physical pleasure. Sound impossible, right? Well, not according to today's guest. He's on a mission to bring pleasure and enjoyment back to exercise. At his fitness studio, he's banned all talk of burning calories and losing weight and getting a bikini body. And instead, he uses exercise to help folks feel better, happier, and even smarter. Michael Hosking is the founder of Revocycle Mind and Body, an indoor cycling studio based in Portland, Oregon. Now, this is not your typical spin studio. This is mindfulness-based movement, and it might just revolutionize fitness. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Amy.
So before we talk about Revocycle, I want to talk about you for a minute. So you used to be a high-level athlete. You were immersed in fitness, but you didn't understand how fitness culture affected women until a former girlfriend opened your eyes. Could you tell us that story?
Sure. I was a professor down at Davidson College in North Carolina, and I had a girlfriend down there. And she was in the midst of recovering from a very serious eating disorder that had lasted many years. And when I met her, she was fully in recovery and getting back to her normal body weight, but we used to go to the grocery store together, and she would point out the women's magazines by the checkout stand. And she'd say, "Look, Michael, what part of those magazines is about fitness?" I said, "Well, the fitness magazines, of course." And she goes, "Uh-huh." And then she'd point out the headlines and the titles of the articles and the pictures. And she says, "None of that has to do with fitness. That has to do with hotness and beauty and sexiness and losing weight." And it's at that time when I started to realize that health, wellness, and fitness are not the same things. And over the years, she and I discussed this at great length. And she told me that those magazines actually fed into her eating disorder by making her feel really bad about her body, making her feel like she wasn't good enough, that she needed to lose 5 more pounds. And if she did, then she'd be happy and look just like those people in the magazines. And so when I came into the fitness world and created Revocycle Mind and Body cycling, I had a very strong opinion about talking about bodies and weight loss and the photos that are very typical in the fitness industry of women. And I made a pledge that we would never talk about bodies or weight loss or bikini season or summer's coming or new year, new you, or lose those 5 extra pounds or get ready for the New Year's Eve. None of that, because I'd seen the damage it had done to her and lots of other women all around the world. So we wanted to take a messaging that was much more about just feel good, move to be happy, take time out of your busy, chaotic lives to just celebrate movement for its own sake.
So that's interesting, though, because I don't know many women who would exercise if they didn't have to, because most of us get into exercise specifically to change how we look. And usually that means we want to either lose weight or we don't want to put on any weight. So if that at least gets us exercising, surely that's an okay thing.
Yeah, I know. And this is the dilemma I face, right? So I'll just give you a couple of anecdotes. I have had young women literally burst into tears when I explain to them that we will not be talking about calories burned here or bodies or bikini season or getting ready for anything. I've had them literally burst into tears because women have been bombarded with this message their entire lives. And it becomes burdensome. And in my view, it's objectifying and reduces women to their external appearance, which I think is a small fraction of the value of human beings and women. So I have had women burst into tears in relief that they're not going to be bombarded with this message. But I would say the vast majority of people that seek out exercise, as you point out, are doing it to change their body in some fashion. Gain weight if they want to bulk up, gain a big butt if they want to be like the Kardashians, lose the belly fat, tone the shoulders, sculpt the rib, the abs. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? And for those people, we have to undergo kind of a transformation to thinking about the reasons you exercise. And I'll tell you a couple of facts. The very worst way to build a lifetime of exercise is by losing weight or exercising to lose weight or exercising to change your body in some fashion. That's an external motivation, or what we call extrinsic motivation. And extrinsic motivations do not allow you to keep your motivation for a long period of time. Witness what happens in January every single year in the fitness world, right? And so if you build motivation that's internal, intrinsic, you notice how exercise makes you feel. If you notice that you're less stressed afterwards, if you notice that you want to come back because it was a nice calming part of your day, you start to seek it out. And then you end up in good shape just as a byproduct.
So what's really interesting about that is that so much of fitness in gyms is all based around that calorie burning model, right? We have to have fun and fast and energetic classes. We want to burn as many, like they actually say, you know, this class will burn tons of calories in a really short period of time and you're going to have tons of fun doing it.
Right.
So you are different. What is wrong with that model, and how do you change that in your world?
Well, there's a couple things there. One, I think if people want to build a lifetime of exercise for health and happiness, they ought to do it by tuning into the intrinsic motivations. And that's just not a feeling. That's like a well-researched fact that's how you build a lifetime of exercise. Tune into the intrinsic feedback and those motivations, and then you'll end up exercising for the rest of your life, and you'll be super fit and healthy and happy. So that's great. If that's your goal, to exercise and be super fit, then the best way to do that is to tune into the intrinsic motivations. But at the same time, I also understand that fitness is all about, are you fun? Is this fun? Will it make the time go by fast? Is it a party? How many calories can we burn in the shortest amount of time, right? And I point people to athletes or their friend who gets up at 5:30 in the morning to go for a run in the rain. And I ask them, is your friend crazy? And they'll say, no, my friend's not crazy. He's a really good person. So why do you think they get up at 5:30 to go for a run in the dark and the rain? For 10 years. And invariably, you ask people, runners, hikers, climbers, rowers, paddlers, cyclists, why they do what they do. They will tell you because it makes them feel good. It's a form of moving meditation, and that they feel like they're happier and more present during and after the workout. So they begin to seek it out time and time and time again. And for me, cycling has been, for many years, my moving meditation. I have never once ridden my bike up to a very steep hill here in Portland in order to get ready for summer. I've just never once done it. I ride because it's a moment where I challenge myself, I learn about myself, I become present, I quiet the mind, and I feel really good after I've done it. So I think what I want to do to the industry, and for people that are seeking out fun and the most calories burned in a particular class, is to have them shift towards seeing movement as a time to be present and focused. And once they do that, they'll start to exercise for those intrinsic rewards that we've talked about before. So Revocycle is built on a fundamentally different assumption. And I talk to people about this all the time. Fitness, and I use a hashtag before that, hashtag fitness, is built on the assumption that exercise sucks, but you got to do it in order to get hot. And then once you're hot, you'll be really happy, just like the smiling, laughing, skinny people on the website or in the Instagram photos. All of that is false. and it's provably false. And so what I want to tell people is that tuning into the movement, moving for its own sake, is a way to really truly build some happiness through your movement practice.
I love that. So this is where, I mean, with the title, this is mind, body, spirit. This isn't just working out your body. So I want to know, so when people walk into your fitness studio for the first time, and maybe they're expecting a traditional spin class, how do they react?
One of two ways. Either they just go, what is this? You don't know anything about cycling or spin class. Or they stay for an hour and say, oh my God, I cannot believe I found a place like this. Tell me more about what you do. I feel so much happier right now. And everyone is so calm and nice and pleasant. So it's one of two things. If a person is looking for a spin class with its known values and culture and practice and presentation, they will be just shocked at what we do. But if they're just coming in looking for something to do to move and feel good, they are just profoundly moved and will never go to another place again. It's really remarkable. It's just one or the other. We very rarely will shift people from a spin mindset to the Revocycle Mind and Body mindset. Very rarely. But it does happen every now and then.
So how specifically is it different? So let's just say you walk through, somebody comes in. What is their experience like? How is this different from typical spin?
Well, I say that our studio looks like a spin studio. We have bikes, we have speakers, we have locker rooms, we have storage areas. But we start off by doing a really professional fitting to the bike, because being in the right position on the bike is super important to getting the most benefits from the workout and not hurting yourself. So that's typically new to people, a really precise and professional fitting to the bike. And then we start the class with kind of a mindful moment, playing soft yoga style music, where we have people sit up, take a few deep breaths, let their arms hang by the side, release the belly, focus on releasing tension in the shoulders, and just moving the legs, feeling the muscles engaged, just really mindfulness practice in the very first song of the class. And then throughout the class, we ban yelling, we ban screaming, we teach like a yoga class with a yoga mindset for the same reasons, which is to tune into the body and be present. Whereas spin classes are party, entertainment, lots of yelling typically, sometimes lots of obscenities and cursing, very frequently references to come on, work harder, summer's coming, that kind of stuff. And we do none of that. We just do none of it. We just refer to the body, the breath, the rhythm, the muscles. We let the music work for us. That's one of the things I tell my instructors. You don't need to talk the whole time. Let the music work for you. Let people be bathed in the music. Let them feel the rhythm of the song. Let them align their bodies to it. Let them focus on that alignment to the rhythm and the feel of the muscles working. So it's a very different experience.
Wow. It's like yoga, spin, all mixed together.
Yeah. In fact, Amy, I will tell people, I think of what we do as absolutely the same thing as yoga. And it's the same body, same breath, same muscles, same ligaments, same presence, same focus, for the same reasons. Yes, we're pedaling bicycles, but otherwise it's identical.
Wow. So you have taught biology, you've studied the impact of exercise on the brain.
Yeah.
I want to know how this makes you happier, and this is the weird one, smarter.
Well, for sure happier. And here's one of the neat things that's just come out in the last, 10 years at this point. Revocycle's been around about 6 years. This came out a few years before I created our program. But it turns out that aerobic exercise can fundamentally change the brain in a way that can combat depression, that can combat stress and anxiety. And this is not just kind of feel good, yay, we're moving and I feel better about myself. This is actual biological processes that are changing the brain. And it turns out in ways that are very similar to antidepressants, and for the same reasons. So aerobic exercise can create what's called neurogenesis in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is associated with depression. That's where depression lives, the hippocampus and the amygdala. And it turns out that aerobic exercise promotes the growth of brand new neurons in the hippocampus of the brain. And the growth of those new neurons is associated with the reduction or prevention of depression. So that's one beautiful byproduct of aerobic exercise. The other is that aerobic exercise tamps down what we call the stress response. And everyone's kind of familiar with stress hormones and the stress response. Well, it's a very specific thing in the body, and it begins in the brain with the hypothalamus, and then it goes to the pituitary gland, and then finally to the adrenal glands. And that's called the HPA axis. And it's that axis that releases the stress hormones into the body. And aerobic exercise tamps down that HPA axis. So by engaging in aerobic activity, you both boost neurogenesis in the brain, which can then prevent or reduce depression, and you also reduce the stress response, which is also highly associated with depression. So through aerobic exercise, you can fundamentally change anxiety or stress-related disorders and depression. And there are studies showing that aerobic exercise is at least as effective as the best antidepressants.
Wow. So it's actually working at the brain level.
Yes, at the brain. These are real biological mechanisms happening in the brain. And that's one of the reasons why I created Revocycle, as a way to help spread that message to people, that you can use exercise to reduce your stress or your anxiety levels and also reduce or prevent depression.
Fantastic. And for those of you watching, if you want to learn more, like maybe you're going to be through the Portland area, or maybe you just want to encourage Michael to bring this to your city, I have a link for you. Just go to yourbrilliance.org/Michael. That's yourbrilliance.org/Michael. Michael, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And I wonder if you have any last message you would like to leave our viewers with.
I would just want to share with people that these bodies are built to move, and they have built-in feedback mechanisms that make you enjoy the movement if you can only tune into it. And once you do, you can build a lifetime of movement from that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you out there for watching. We hope to see you again soon. Until then, let your brilliance shine.